Yes. Thank you, Sister Olivia, for that translation. And with that, we already are off track on time, so I'm trying to keep up.
Monica,
Yeah.
just one final quick point, and just really quickly, and that's why I made it the point that I was not just coming from the Bible, but also anthropology, psychology, sociology, so all of those perspectives can be embraced. And I want to just one final point. This topic was particularly close to my heart because I'm in the process of writing a book, From Pain to Purpose to Power, with a group of women, and those women are on board, including your very own Lona Speed, Constance Roberts, Debbie Boyd, and we're going to all be sharing our story of how we went through very difficult, painful situations. And out of that pain, we discovered our purpose and passion. And now, through our faith, we're walking in power. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I'm going to, just to keep things going and keep us on time, I'm going to move on to our next speaker. That is Sister Neema Namadamu. She had a great question about religion. And so to follow up on that, our next topic will be, or she's going to focus on power and different power structures and how we can harness power as women. So thank you so much, Neema. Ladies, if you could mute if you're not speaking so that everybody can hear.
Okay. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak again among our sisters around the world, and especially African. And I know we are, for women, I think I'm going to speak about power. With the power and the leadership, that is how in this crazy time where world is like changing 100% opposite. But when we talk about the power, is like we can put a map, but I don't have a really kind of presentation PowerPoint, but I think we were creating the PowerPoint in our mind. Put the men and women, that is like one map. And when men have it what we call power. That is the number one. The women have leadership. And that leadership women have, let me give you an example like my dear sister Maggie, because I was reading and see how women, African women, they have that powerful. And those powerful they have, no one who knows that. And when I hear her, when I was watching, I watch some kind of, I love the women, African women and whole women in the world. And when she was beginning, she was a crazy woman. Why did she have that name? Because my personal story is, they was say I'm like sorcery, because I have a job. Because women with disability in Africa, they are like considering which they don't have, they are punishment by God. Is why I don't like Christians, the religion, not Christian, the religion. And when my dear sister was coming to be a sister Catholic, that power, when she begin walking, when she do leadership, the power, see how powerful she is, how leader she is. And now we begin fighting with this system is broken. And from long time, women were saying, this is not working. This time is not working. It's not working, but people don't hear us. Like she said, former president of Burundi, he was a very big Christian. And the people, we have a confusing, the Christian or religion, the power, the system. When we talk about religion, we talk about power. That power is in the system, how they build, how system build that power. For example, Pope. And that power, why is it going to fail? Because they didn't include women. Because where they have is like tamiser le pouvoir. Et c'est que where they have is a kind of where from women, from a community, from a family. because women equal community and leadership. We raise families, we raise those men from women. But when they build the system about power, they exclude women. And that system is always women from beginning. When, for example, in America is the example white kind of country who have freedom. But women in the beginning, it was not voting. Women say, we are equal, we are human beings. But that is the system. And we don't fight with men. We fight with the system was made by men. And okay, let me now go to religions. For example, when Catholic begin, or Christians or Muslims, everything you see in head, they have a power. They are image of, like that's mask men. And they already build also God. They say God doesn't have a sex. And Jesus is not man. And Jesus was image, but people, system build that kind of. But Sister Maggie say, we are the vessel. Maggie, where the people put power, religion, she put love. Is why when you see people all grown up and we are going to be broken because we talk about that powerful inside us, that's love. And love is equal God. And it doesn't have a sex. That is really powerful when they do power equal God, Jesus, that system built, everything is God. God is man, Jesus is man, Muhammad is man, Buddha is man. That is the power. But they're ignorant. We have that power inside us, that love, that vessels, that we can share. And that is where I was trying to build. And what is have confusing for us Africans when we born, because they bring this kind of culture. The region replace our culture, our behavior. And that kind of where I am struggling is why I was wanting to ask my dear sister, Charlene, about how we can give the difference between culture, our origin culture is kind how our identity, how we are. And now, what is now this power bring to us, to African, or Muslim is going to fight with Christians? Or now they move that kind of religion fighting or against, and they're creating the ethnists. You say, oh, they are not fighting with this, but they come, say, example is Rwanda, they do Hutu and Tutsi. They're fighting, and they are one people speak one language, because that is the power who creating those systems, and they try to control. But leadership is that Mama Maggie she said love, and that doesn't make any difference between human beings, and they don't make a difference. Is why now this power have babies, have a kid, have division, have racism. That's racism. Have this creating those barriers between the countries. Those is the kids all born through the powers. And that is where women overworld can be African, can be American, can be European, everywhere. The power we have, women have. You know how women they are creating, and we have that power. Every woman, you can be educated, you can be not educated, you can be each color. We have that power to give life, to be pregnant, to give. It's why we have a capacity. Like Maggie, she didn't have the power. She was a crazy woman, but she have the power to build, to raise those thousands and thousands of kids. Who men who can do that? See the power Mother Teresa, she had. that is the power we wanted to give to world, to give different. And now let me back now. This time, I think my time is finished. How many minutes I stay now?
You have two minutes, and then we got to.
Okay. Now, we can do, how we can do in this time of traumatized for world the change is we are still having this. It's not a struggle. This is a message. It's telling us how we can now take our life. It's normal. This is a message from Corona. It's not really, and it's not going back normal how it was, because it was not working. But we resist as African women, how we can continue. This is not end the world. And you have that imagination. That is what I was trying to say right now. But because the time is really little, but let's think about how we continue to pursuing this, our purpose. If we are passionate, we are really passionate. And how we cannot change the whole world, but beginning in your community, beginning with your neighbor, with your sister, adult see, okay, she's white, is this, and teaching, giving really education from home, from our heart, because Mama Maggie, she said, we are the vessels, we are the temple of this God who is in us, who doesn't have a color, who is not a man, is in us. And we can react through our energy as women around the world. We can really change families, community, and the whole world. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Sister Neema. And just to think about that, when you were talking about women and how we have been left out of the power structure, I was just thinking about how all the countries that are doing well with Corona and the pandemic are being led by women. So we truly do have the power, and we have the ability to lead. I'm going to make an executive decision and wait for comments to the end, just so that we can get to all of the speakers. We have wonderful speakers, so I'm hoping that we'll have a discussion at the end. But it's already 12:46, so at this time, I'm going to ask Sister Maggy Barankitse to speak. You have 10 minutes, and we are going to be talking about interweaving all of these themes, power, passion, but at this point, you're going to talk about performance and how you are able to keep going even in these times. So thank you, Sister Maggy. Welcome.
Unmute yourself. Maggie, performance, ça veut dire action. Et ça, c'est toi, c'est tes actions. C'est ça, performance. I was just translating so she understands what performance means.
Merci. Thank you very much. I'm so happy to see all those women and men. And yes, John, we don't forget you. And also to thanks to Sister Charlene. It's very important to have the faith. For me, what I am doing since 40 years, because I began when I was only 24 years old. Now, next month, I will have 64 years. Yeah. And my energy, my strength came from the Bible. I must say to you that what I have seen and what gives me enough love, enough strength to continue, it's because I have seen Jesus also on the cross when he said, "Don't be afraid, I will be with you until the end of the world." I must say that, but I accept to welcome Muslim kids, other kids, because God said to us, create us, we are one human family, children of God. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, Neema, also to show how women, because I think also for all those women in the Bible, Esther, Ruth, and I have some women who inspired me, but also some men, because of course I am a Catholic. I have been invited with all the three popes. And I said, of course, what I don't like, it's because we don't have a place in our Catholic Church. But it doesn't matter because we have a place. We don't need the power. Without women in Catholic women, church can't exist because we are their mothers. The Pope have a mother, and who raised him? Then we don't need to put all those things, but we are inside this church. And when I saw in October 24th, 1993, when they killed all those 32 people in front of me, I have one choose or to went to flee my country and to go in Europe. But I said, okay, those children are the future. And if I raise them, they will become a new generation who will break the cycle of violence. Then those children give me enough strength to never give up, to continue. And after I saw in the eyes of those children what they need to be educated. They need to be to go to school. They need to have something to eat. And love makes us inventor. I said, okay, we have a land. Why I must beg food? Then I said, okay, I sent the children who are able and some other to cultivate. We began to cultivate ourselves and to product the food for ourselves.
Yeah,
yes. Mm-hmm. And after I said, oh, okay, I can build a hospital because I don't want to repair always all those broken pieces. I said, why mothers died? Then, because when you love, I like what Charlene said, when you take meditation and when you say, okay, now what I must do, you will find solution inside yourself and also the friends surrounding you. You can ask advice because God give us friends to advise us. And then I transform my suffering in opportunities. I said, okay, there is a war, but I can be a light because in the middle of those darkness, we can choose to be the light. Then I said to all those children, don't complaining, be the light in darkness. And after, when people will see that you stand up, you are not afraid, because I know that God said to us on the cross, Jesus said, don't be afraid. Then the people, the journalists, all those queens, they saw that I am not afraid. I am not, of course, to keep humility, to know that we are not, God doesn't ask us to carry the word. What God asks us is to distribute happiness, to be there and to say, come my brother, come my sister. We can build the world, a beautiful world, a better world, because we have enough love, enough strength. Then everybody say, oh wow, she's a crazy, but she transformed, even she suffer. She don't show that. She show the other face. And then I build even university, because we are afraid. what makes us, like Mandela said, ce qui nous fait peur, it's not, yes,
what
make us afraid. It's not our notre faiblesse.
It's not our weakness.
It's because we are so, nous sommes tellement talentueux.
Because we are all so talented. That's from Nelson Mandela says, what scares us is not our weakness. We are so talented that we are so every human being is so talented. If you continue.
Oui, et nous ne rendons pas service à nos frères en nous faisant petits, parce que nous sommes créés pour rayonner de la gloire de Dieu.
Yes, and so we are not doing any service to our brothers and other brothers and sisters by staying, small. That means we are here to shine. Everyone should be shining.
Yes,
and get that strength out of all of us.
The glory of God, because we are the temple of God, then we must shine that. And then why I never want somebody who tell me what I must be, because I said, no, we have our dignity coming from our God. And it's why I want that all those kids become great. And when I freed my country, I have nothing. And everybody said, now you lost everything. You have no country, you have no money, you are apatrid without country. But I said, no, I will disturb you. Je vais vous déranger.
Yes,
I will surprise you. Yes. And I decided to come back from Luxembourg, where I was in the palace with the queen. I said, okay, I know you are a queen, you are so kind with me, but I am another queen, not a queen, Neema, for the power, but a queen to distribute love, to distribute happiness. Then I came back here in Rwanda. I have only 3,000 euros, only. And everybody said, Maggie, what are you? You can't have a house, you can. I said, okay. The other people are in the tent, and they are my brothers and sisters. We will together build houses and ask to our friends how they can consider us as brothers and sisters, not refugees, because refugees are normal people in a normal situation. We have talent. We can transform our suffering in opportunity. Then I began to teach women. I said, yes, I can give you sewing machine. I took the young people, you can return in university. And then because of my confidence, I said, I have a triumphal confidence in providence. Then I got an award, $1 million from Aurora Prize with George Clooney. Then I transformed all the suffering. I said, stand up, keep your dignity. You are not, you are created to become great. You see, if you see only human being stand up on sur deux jambes.
Yeah.
And we are created to reach the sky, not to see the earth. No, to reach the sky. And it's why, you see, even they tortured me, they killed, I welcome children, young people who were castrated, women who were raped, who were burned, they burned their sex. I said, okay, they burn your sex, but they didn't burn your heart. You can surprise your perpetrators and show them that you keep your dignity. It's what I feel every morning when I wake up. I will tell you what only one prayer I make. It's Seigneur, tu fais éclater tes merveilles. Yeah, you translate.
Oui, donc Lord, et puis tu dis 2 ou 3 mots et puis je traduis, ok? Ok, so Lord.
Seigneur, tu fais éclater tes merveilles et que
Yeah, you show us your marvels.
Yes, and I will not put my obstacles. And then I said, yes, go.
Mm-hmm.
And today, after in the evening, I said, oh, poor Maggie, you make your service simple things, but we must become great because we are created to become great. And we want that everybody, we are prince and princess. Don't think even you are disabilities, the most important things that God said to us, go. You create also because we are powerful. We are powerful. Thank you. And even Corona came, we make our, you see, the clothes I have, it's the refugee women in a refugee camp who sew it, and they can sell it because, of course, in the world they think, oh, we have not money. We can create money because the money we can create ourselves. The money, and when people will see that we are not discouraged, they will want to help us. Then Queen came to visit me to see this crazy woman. What? And they asked me, why you are like that? I said, because I am a princess, created. We are sisters and brothers. And I have never, even in my speech, with the Queen, for example, the Queen Beatrice from Netherlands. One day I said, my sister Beatrice, everybody looked at me. They think it's because I don't know the word in English. I said, no, you are my sister. Because we are all queens, you know, and all king. Isn't it, George? Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that word. I will keep the show. That was wonderful and very inspiring, Sister Maggie. I'll keep it going. Next, we have Dr. Pauline Waweru. Thank you so much for joining us. We are continuing with our theme, and I believe she's going to focus on all of what we've talked about, but also overcoming fear. So I'll take it away to you. You have 10 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, thank you everyone for having me. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I have to say that I'm pretty honored to be in the midst of very powerful women and one man. You know, we are blessed to have a male today, so we can probably hear what he has to say after we speak as women. And just to kind of tell you a little bit about myself. So I am Pauline Waweru, and I am based in Kennesaw, Georgia, and I am a practicing psychotherapist and also an EAP consultant, meaning I do employee assistance programs. And I also have a little private practice here in Kennesaw. And I've been sitting here just listening to these wonderful women, and starting with Charlene and Neema and Maggie, and I cannot tell you how challenged I feel. And I'm like, wow, this is powerful. And every time I come in here, I learn something new. And so I hate that my topic is a little, I want to say negative, but I also have a very positive component to my presentation because I'm talking about fear. And sadly, the things that have been talked about, you know, the power, the compassion, the performance, if you have a lot of fear, then it's hard for you to achieve any of those. And that's why I felt it would be very important for me to talk about fear and how we can overcome fear. So whether we are dealing with difficult situations like COVID-19 or the racial issues and what else we are dealing with, we are women who go through a lot. And so fear kind of becomes part of, our being. And I have to say, fear is basic, human survival. Like, we all experience fear. I don't think there's anyone sitting in this group today that has never experienced fear. Fear is a survival mechanism. In fact, we do need fear sometimes to be able to act or to achieve something. So it's not always a bad thing, because it can kind of trigger you to do something. And so I'm gonna break it down into four little sections. So one, I'm going to talk about what is fear, and then I'm going to talk about how does fear manifest itself in our lives, especially when we are trying so hard to be our best, to achieve and to live a life of purpose. And then I'm also going to talk about how does fear affect us when we are trying to heal from emotional damage. And then finally, and which is what I think I'm going to emphasize on more, is how can we overcome fear so we can live a purposeful life, that we can live a life of greatness, and that we can live authentic lives. So I'm going to ask this question. So how does fear manifest itself in your life? And I know different people experience different types of fear. But I'm going to talk about the fear that comes when we are trying to achieve something, when we are trying to achieve balance. And it can manifest itself in so many different ways. So when you experience fear, you're not able to use your power. You cannot achieve what everybody is talking about, which is your passion. And you also have great challenges in achieving your purpose. And so when I think of fear, I think of something that disrupts our lives and sometimes make us feel very unsafe, very uncomfortable. And so I hope to give you a few ideas or tips on how you can continue to challenge fear, because that's the only way you can do it. Because what it does, it kind of paralyzes you, and you think, oh, I'm so powerless, I'm so helpless, I'm so hopeless. So that is the messages that fear sends to us, that we are not capable. And some of the things I hear as a therapist, when clients come to me, I hear people saying, I don't think my life will be the same again, because they have fear. I also hear things like, I'm afraid I'll never heal. That is fear. I hear things like, I fear, or I'm afraid that things will never get better, that people might never like me, that I'll not get this job, that I'll not get this promotion, that I'll not be able to overcome adversity at work. So these are some of the messages that I hear as a therapist. And most of the people coming in will have some type of fear. They are either worried about getting better and the obstacles that they have to face when they are trying to get better. So the reason I'm saying this is to show you that we all experience fear. But fear can also be one of the greatest challenges when we are trying to overcome or when we are trying to regain our power, our passion, our purpose, and our performance. So the next section is, how does fear affect us when we are dealing with very difficult situations? And one of the things that fear does is that it makes you feel like you're not able, that you're not worthy, that you're not capable. And so the messages I try to send to people is that you can heal from any type of damage, and we can restore our sense of wholeness. We can restore our sense of integration, and we can restore our sense of being authentic. So if you think about the current situation like COVID, racial issues, most of us have this fear that things will never be the same again. So last week I had a client who came to me, and he is a male, African American male who works in a very competitive engineering firm. And he said to me, at this time, I am so worried that I will never get a promotion because this racial identity thing has heightened, sensitivity from my fellow white people. And so I fear that I'll never be able to get a promotion. And I said to him, no, let's talk about your fear. Where is that coming from? Is it because you feel like this thing has probably made people feel worse? And I said, no. Whatever is happening now is actually supposed to help improve things. And so when he came to me, I inspired him. I gave him some hope. I actually talked about some tools that he can use so he can continue to empower himself. And so there are so many things we can do to liberate ourselves from fear. And I have to say this, it is a gradual process. I don't think there's anyone here who wakes up one day and says, oh, I don't have any fear. So we all have to realize that overcoming fear is very liberating. It sets you free and it's gradual, it's liberating. And you also have to remind yourself that it is a process. Now I have to share something that I always think has held me back for a very long period of time. So like I mentioned before, I work as a therapist, and I remember before I went into the field, I was a high school teacher for very many years before I came to the United States. And pursuing that career in counseling, I used to wonder, how can I face people when I have so much fear that I'll not be good enough? And I have to tell you, just like many other women, I have had that fear for maybe the longest period of my life. I have never felt like I'm good enough, or I'm gonna do my best. But as I go along, there are certain things that have helped me, and I'm going to share those things with you because I think it's important for you to hear them, that have helped me to overcome fear. And that's why I've been able to pursue things that I've never have pursued before. If you had asked me 2 years ago about doing such a presentation, I would have said, no, I'm not able to do that. But as time goes on, I'm realizing that I'm the one who is holding myself back by having so much fear. And so I'm going to share a couple of tips on, and I think Charlene and a couple of other people talk about this. So I'm just repeating what they have said. And one of the things that I've learned, and I have had all the women talk about this, is develop an attitude of gratitude, meaning you always have to think positively. As hard as it may be, as difficult as it may be, it's always very important to have a positive attitude and to always think of gratitude and being grateful, making positive self-affirmations, reminding yourself who you are, and then confront your fear. So like I told you, my greatest fear, and I would call it maybe like some type of social anxiety, is I have never felt that I could do something that was worthwhile. And it's because of the messages maybe we've had growing up. And so we have lived in fear. So we live in fear of, so I cannot be promoted, I cannot get a good job, I cannot present myself before people. So we have this fear. So everybody the best way to heal is to confront your fear, name it. If you cannot name your enemy, it is difficult to confront them. So that's why it's important for us to name the things that hold you back, the things that make you fear progress, the things that make it difficult for you to achieve and to be your best self. You have to ask yourself, what is that I'm so worried about? What is that I'm so afraid about? So once you name it, then you can say, this is it, and this is how I'm going to deal with it. So name your fear, identify your fear. Another thing, and I think the other ladies mentioned this, I had it from Neema, I had it from Maggie and Charlene, is constantly remind yourself who you are. You have to have a strong sense of identity. So remind yourself about your journey. So when I look at myself, and I'm gonna make it a joke, when I look at myself talking to you at this moment, I always remember walking to school barefoot with no shoes on. I have to go back and remind myself of things that I had such horrible experiences in college, in high school. And then I tell myself, you are so resilient. Look at the experiences you've had. Look at your past. Look at where you're headed. Look at the things you have been able to accomplish. And so sometimes you have to step back, like Charlene said, look at your journey, look at the back so you can look at where you're headed. So remind yourself who you are, your sense of worth, your sense of identity. Challenge yourself. And remind yourself that you have overcome a lot of obstacles. Now, for those of us who are working in white-dominated fields, and Charlene can attest to this, it's very difficult as a woman of color when you're trying to change the minds of your white clients. And the first question they ask you is, are you able to help me? Because they are looking at you in a way to suggest that you may not be capable. And so it's been a struggle. But as much as it's been a struggle, I also have to say this, it kind of heightens and strengthens my sense of resilience. So the more I experience these things, the better I feel, the stronger I feel, the more competent I feel, the more confident I feel. So this fear, for me, is a catapult. It pushes me to the next level and the next level and the next level. And I can't even tell you how hopeful I am that the future is bright. And then find resources that are empowering. This is one of those resources. And I have to thank the women of ASIKE for creating a space for women to come together and share their knowledge, share their support, share their experiences, because this is powerful. And so I'm encouraging women and men to seek spaces where they can get healing, where they can hear from people, where they can support other people. I cannot tell you how good I feel sometimes when I'm able to support someone else and they come back and tell me, oh, I'm feeling so much better. Thank you for helping me. So find resources for yourself, talk to people, join groups, listen to conversations, buy books, buy magazines. What I'm saying is enlighten yourself, build your confidence, and then do not listen to the inner critical voice. All of us have an inner critical voice. So sometimes you have to ignore that voice that tells you that you're not good enough or that you're not capable. You have to ignore the inner critical voice. And then work on your self-image. Don't settle for mediocrity. So like when we are African, for example, we like to come late to meetings, or we do things that do not symbolize excellence. So work on that, work on self-image, do things to excel, show that you're capable, do things to the expectation and to the standards that are set. So don't just do things because they are supposed to be done. So when you go to work, do your best. When you go to any spaces, do your best. And then finally, seek healing. And I have to say this, there are so many spaces that are represented here. So I'm going to speak about spirituality, but in a very general way, because I realize that the women sitting here today may not be of the same religion or faith, but I have to say this, whatever works for you, whatever you call your emotional space, that's where you need to tap into. Whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a Buddhist, whether you actually believe in some components of a certain religion or faith and they help you. Meditation, for example, is not necessarily a Christian-based practice. We borrow that from the Eastern cultures and it helps. So what I'm saying is, find out what works for you. Get into the space where you feel comfortable. If you connect with something bigger outside of yourself, it could be nature, it could be religion, it could be faith, connect with that. And then finally, I want to say this, think of the world as a safe place. So when you go out, think of the safety that is provided to you. We have this thing now where we are so worried that we cannot even take a walk because we are worried about what people will say. But walk into the world, present yourself as if the world is a safe space. You know, treat it as safe. And then I'll say this, continue to work on yourself so you can restore your sense of wholeness and your sense of authenticity. And so finally, I'm gonna say this, we are wonderful women, we are powerful women and men, we have a man here. And we also have to remind ourselves that we are capable. And that's the only way we can be able to overcome fear in difficult And so I'm going to leave it there. And again, I have to say I'm grateful, Monica and your team, for inviting us. I think we need to have these conversations because we also learn a lot from each other. So when I listen to women like Maggie and Charlene, I always think, wow, I want to be like them. I want to inspire people just the way they inspire them. And so let us learn to overcome fear so that we can live our best life. We can achieve purpose. We can be the most powerful women that ever walked on the face of the earth. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pauline. That was really wonderful. At this time on the schedule, it's 1:20. I know Sister Alice wanted to say something for 5 minutes, but I saw that she had some technical difficulties. Sister Alice, are you there? I think I see you. And can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear?
Yes, we can. We can't see you. Okay, we can't see you, but we.
You can see me?
No, you just need to adjust your.
I can see you. Okay, I have my computer and my phone. Okay, so you can see. It looks like you can see me.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome. You have. You said you were going to speak for 5 minutes, so I'll leave the floor to you.
Yes, thank you so much for giving me the time. And Pauline, you're the one who introduced me to ASIKE, so thank you so much. So I'm just going to repeat everything that you've been talking about: fear, overcoming fear, pursuing your purpose, those kind of things. So I'm going to address this from the medical perspective. And for me, when I see somebody with high blood pressure, which has affected millions and millions of people, I know there is an underlying fear, a deep, deep kind of fear. So I always, and sometimes people, when it takes like maybe some people 3 drugs to control their high blood pressure. And when I talk to them about what is it that you're afraid of, they can't name it. They're like, I don't have stress. So I always knew that I have work to do when I see something like that. So high blood pressure is actually a deep-rooted anxiety, and anxiety, we know it's fear. And when people worry about things, right now we are in the middle of a crisis. So we are dealing with racism and we are dealing with COVID-19. So you find people worrying. Sometimes they're not able to sleep well. And that fear translates into high blood pressure. People feel hopeless. And that's why, Pauline, you were talking about believing in a higher power. When people believe in a higher power, they have less anxiety. That's a known fact. Sleeping well. When you don't sleep well, you cannot rest. Your body cannot rest properly. So it's not able to repair. So those kind of things. Now, when people have high blood pressure, that starts like a domino effect for other diseases, kidney problems, heart and vascular problems, heart failure, heart attacks, those kind of things, and strokes. When people have high blood pressure, they also suffer from a weakened immune system. When you have that, you find that you are more prone to bacteria infection, viruses, those kind of things. So it is good that we can actually overcome fear. Now we read in the Bible, because I'm a Bible-believing Christian, that all diseases come from the devil, and that's true. And how does the devil really affect us? Is when we are afraid, because we know fear does not come from God. You know, Jesus said, don't be afraid. Miss Maggie, you were talking about that. Don't be afraid, because I have overcome the world. But we find that fear is the biggest principality that actually serves the devil. And most people don't believe in the devil, but if you believe in God, you better know that the devil is real. So yeah, so we get problems like that. Now, somebody else talked about if you want to change the world, it has to begin with the family. That's true. Women, you know, women are, they're actually more powerful than men. And yes, we've been left out of the leadership structure. There's a reason why God made women. If you remember from the beginning of time, God says it's not good for man to be alone. There is something that God saw in man, and he knew that only women could fix that. So he made a woman to be a helpmate for the man. So if we really need to change the world, which we must, we cannot leave this to our children. And I do believe that African women have a role to play in the world, a really big role. We are the ones who have been oppressed the most. And that's because the devil really doesn't want us using our power, because he knows he's afraid of our power. And so he has created these divisions, ratio divisions, so we can hate ourselves. And from that being victim mentality, we can now win from that. Ms. Maggie talked about that. She said that crisis can be an opportunity for you to be great. Because when you overcome, you actually become greater than, because you have that seed of greatness inside of you. So Black women, I commend you. The things that I hope that we are taping this session so I can go back and listen to it later. There was a lot of big nuggets that were talked about today. We have a role and we actually can change the world, but it has also to start from our families. Women are the mothers. We raise children, and if we raise strong children, we can change the world. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alice. Okay, wonderful. It's 1:25. I want to keep us close to time, and I want to respect your time. But I would love in the next, I'm going to cut it off at 1:40, but in the next, 1:35. In the next 10 minutes, I would just love to open the floor to everyone. Sister Chuma, if you can unmute everyone, and just for any feedback, questions to the speakers, comments, suggestions, so that we can engage all of the participants. Thank you.
Do you want people to just unmute as they're ready to speak?
If you want to just unmute as you are ready to ask a question, have a comment, whatever you want to do for this next 10 minutes until 1:35. I will say thank you to all 5 speakers. Those were excellent presentations. I feel inspired, I feel recharged, and by all your great work and how you share your tips on how you overcome your challenges. So thank you to the speakers today for taking the time to be with us.
Yes, Sister Mary Mwambe has her hand raised.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it. Go ahead, Sister Mary.
Okay, thank you so much. So kind of tying in all the comments from the sisters, there's one that I would like to address, particularly to our brother John, who is on there, because I was thinking, do men feel threatened by powerful women? How do you feel about that? I mean, you hear all these women, we're talking about everything that we can do, our passion. And do you feel threatened by powerful women? And is that one of the reasons why, as the dominant, you kind of just dominate? So I want to hear from you. There he is. Okay.
I'm here. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I think I joked that, I just wanted to spy on powerful women so that I can go and tell the other men what's happening here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to thank you, everybody. Thank everybody for. I think I entered the room by mistake, but somebody said no, it was an invitation for everybody.
I invited you.
Oh, you did invite me. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. So I just want to thank everybody. Everybody who spoke was very powerful, inspiring, and indeed you are very powerful women and examples to be followed. I personally was raised 2 boys with 7 sisters. So I don't feel threatened by all my sisters. Actually, I think I was pampered in a way, and my dad used to call me a prince, and now you are saying that I'm a prince. So I don't feel threatened. Rather, I want to encourage each one of you to continue in what you're doing and assert your power. And I understood that you are leaders, but you are not using power because power is really associated with men. And I think I'd rather have a good leader than a powerful person. So I think that's the comment that I'll make. But in general, I appreciate without women in our lives, we wouldn't be where we are. And just keep up the good work.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, can I add something or a thought that came to me when Sister Mary asked that question? It's something that I actually have been thinking about a lot, not specifically around whether powerful women threaten men or not, but the way we assert power as women. I think we should, and it's a great thing that there are 20-something women in this group, and maybe you can challenge or add or take away from what I'm saying. But when you come home and you're powerful and you assert it, like have to listen. If we as women come back and leave power the same way men have traditionally lived power, then I feel like we're doing it wrong. We can't assert power. We just have to be powerful and do what we're doing and let that speak for itself. I think that maybe that's just something I'll say and kind of leave here, is that we should watch the way we treat the power that we now have as women. And not assert it. Let the power do its talking. Let the things we do bear witness for us, instead of us having to kind of assert power. and I feel like we will go a much longer way, especially with our men, because then they don't feel threatened, because we're not lording it over them. We're not saying you're nothing because I'm something. I don't think that that's how it has to be. And I think that that's where sometimes we're going wrong, is that we come back with that, and then of course then we're meeting resistance. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yes.
Thank you, Sister Chioma. Any other comments?
Yes, I can say, like she say, Bishop. Like,
Sister Chioma.
Yes, my dear Sister Chioma, we are not fighting with men,
exactly,
with our brothers. It's always when I talk about we are fighting with this system, the power build, and that system, power build that system on only men. That is where now we are suffering to try to broke, but we are all natural. Is why you see women, we work so hard to break in that system. For example, women organization, let's say Africans. When we can't have that opportunity, access, for example, to funds. Like Maggie, she says she have a fund because she was doing crazy stuff about she's queen. She know that leadership she have, and she do like I do. But we are not fighting. But where we fight is we don't get that opportunities to have to work that leadership we have. We don't have infrastructure, and that infrastructure is in power. Is why Maggie or Neema or Marlene, when we try to say about power, we are not fighting with power, and we have that power, but infrastructure, how to use that. And the women, we feel the why, we don't feel what we're fighting with. We can have that infrastructure to make this thing smooth, the leadership smooth. But we have a leadership, but that power have infrastructure. I think if you understand what I'm saying, my dear?
I understand.
Thank you so much.
First of all, I want to thank all of the speakers. You are all such a blessing and brought different perspectives into this conversation that is just the blessings. Sister Maggie, it's so good to see you again, my dear. I love you, I bless you, and I pray for you, and will continue to pray for all of us. And I just want to thank you all for reminding us in your own way of who we are and how powerful we are. And in the United States, in corporate America, I have seen some women try to exert their power on the same level of men because of the society and the custom that we have here, where in many cases the intelligence, the intellect of women is not respected. And there are many men that unfortunately are not comfortable with women being equal with them. They are, so we have to learn to just walk in our power, not to try to compete with men, but just to be who we are naturally. And when we walk in our power, when we walk in that God light and that God love, we are automatically powerful. And Sister Maggie, there was someone else that talked about identifying our fears. I am so in agreement with that. Nothing can be healed unless it's revealed. And this is the era of us walking in our truth and our power. And I'm so grateful for this conversation. And I love all of my ASIKE sisters. I bless you. I love you. And let's do this. Let's do this more. This is very empowering. Let's do this more.
Thank you, Sister Lona. Thank you, everyone. We have 1 minute left for comments. Any last comments before I move to our just quick announcements? And then, okay, we will leave it at that. Okay, well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Next up, moving into the fall, just so you know, ASIKE is still going, still strong, even with all the outside world. We will be joining we will be having a series of, as some of you know, typically in the fall around September, we have our signature fundraising event, but we will not be having that this year. And so we will be having a series of fun information sessions and fundraising events via Ring Central. So we hope that we will join you for that. We will have a list of those. I know Sister Mary and I are working on that, and we will have a list of fun activities for us to remain connected into the fall. You can support ASIKE by, we hope that you will join us if you're already not a member. We hope that you will, somebody asked in the comments, how can we support ASIKE? We hope you'll join and become a member. We hope that you will donate to our sponsored Child SAC program. We are also looking for help. So if you want to join any of our committees or programming, it would be wonderful. And just there's so many ways to join and help. So 1, join ASIKE. 2, support our SAC program. 3, we would love to have you as a member of our committees. And we hope that you will continue to be with us. And I see Pauline is joining, so thank you and welcome. And with that, again, in the fall, we will have what we're calling it is #MyASIKE15. So we will be having events in lieu of our signature event to fundraise. I know there's a letter coming out that Sister Mifon and I have worked out that will be sent to all the ASIKE sisters to show how you can donate. We will have, somebody suggested a cooking demonstration, all sorts of great things coming up into the fall to fundraise. So we hope that you will help us to continue going. We thank you for joining us today. And with that, I want to respect everybody's time. It's 1:37, so we're going to sign off, and we ask you to stay tuned for our next event. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sis Charlene. You were awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, all of the presenters. God bless.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good to see you, Senge. We never see you.
Thank you,
Sister
everyone.
Maggie, Sister Charlene.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
Yes.
you, Sister
Love
Neema.
to
Everyone. Thank
love
you.
to all of the family in Rwanda. Our love to all of the family in Rwanda and Maison Shalom. We love you.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Wonderful.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.